Many businesses slow down simply because they track too much. Operators build massive dashboards, mistaking the sheer volume of data for actual operational progress. Monitoring dozens of disparate metrics across a business feels good in the moment. It creates a psychological illusion of operational control for the team. But the reality is that this omni-tracking approach directly drains the energy and resources required to actually execute improvements. Complexity creates motion without progress. When a team is told that every single tracked metric is an urgent, top-level priority, internal chaos follows. Tracking every available data point splits a team's attention. When everything is flagged as important, the resulting complexity creates motion without progress, stalling revenue growth. High-performing e-commerce brands take the opposite approach. They actively resist complexity by intentionally restricting their field of vision. This comparison table illustrates the paradox of scale. Limiting data inputs changes the trajectory of a company's success. Looking at the omni-tracking column, managing a checklist of 20-plus variables yields scattered activity and a flat growth trend. The concentrated focus column shows the result of applying full effort to just 3 levers. Improving these consistently produces stronger outcomes than the scattered activity seen on the left. We are going to walk through a diagnostic framework to select the 3 metrics for your next 90 days. Moving faster requires the sacrifice of the psychological safety blanket that comes with knowing every single data point. The first step in this framework requires you to brutally and honestly identify your single biggest operational bottleneck. This diagnostic flowchart maps out that decision process. It routes your company's specific bottleneck to a dedicated set of key performance indicators across 3 paths: acquisition, conversion, and retention. If we follow the retention branch to its conclusion, it reveals a mandatory 3-metric set: repeat purchase rate, average order value, and support resolution time. Following the acquisition branch to its conclusion displays a completely different 3-metric set, tailored strictly for top-of-funnel traffic bottlenecks. Committing to this path requires an immediate trade-off. You must deliberately pause perfectly good ideas if they fall outside of these active branches. Forcing a strict bottleneck diagnosis prevents your company from wasting resources optimizing areas that aren't actively threatening your survival. Selecting a limited number of data points forces an immediate change in human behavior and daily team alignment. A 3-metric limit creates team consensus. Everyone understands what matters now, and decisions become easier because all new opportunities are ruthlessly judged against the current sprint. The alternative is chasing omni-channel metrics, which scatters team energy into low-yield side projects. There is intense tactical value in an information blackout. Literally turning off non-essential tracking dashboards for 90 days stops energy from leaking into distractions. The negative consequence of this blackout is the purposeful loss of granular visibility into minor, early-stage market fluctuations. Sacrificing early warning signals on secondary channels is the required price for gaining maximum velocity on your primary goals. Internal data chaos indirectly bleeds out into the public-facing customer experience. When a company simultaneously tests too many priorities, the resulting brand messaging becomes disjointed and customer touchpoints become unreliable. One strategy is to elevate a subjective input, such as creative output, to the status of a top 3 tracked metric. Dedicating relentless focus to creative output creates smoother daily operations and drastically clearer public messaging over time. Tracking subjective inputs introduces friction. They are much harder to quantify for daily return on investment than pure media buying stats. However, simpler businesses execute at a higher level because their internal focus translates directly into a frictionless, reliable customer experience. A startup founder and a mid-market executive will apply this metric constraint framework in vastly different ways. This matrix checklist maps distinct business profiles to the specific focus areas and the exact friction they will face over the 90 days. Starting with the scattered startup row, their absolute focus must remain solely on foundational conversion and acquisition metrics. The expected friction for the startup involves experiencing an intense fear of missing out by actively ignoring unproven marketing channels. Dropping down to the stagnant optimizer row, their mandate shifts to cutting excess fat and tracking unit economics like average order value. The friction for the optimizer comes from managing intense pushback from department heads who feel blinded without their customized secondary reports. The severe internal friction experienced during this process is the definitive proof that true operational prioritization is occurring. Regardless of your specific profile, the universal operational mandate required for the sprint remains the same. Concentrated, sustained effort on a minimal number of levers mathematically outpaces scattered optimization attempts. Leadership must enforce strict psychological discipline to maintain this severe focus when interesting new data emerges. Securing true scale requires the courage to say no to highly compelling yet non-essential data points. Choose 3 specific metrics, enforce a blackout on the rest, and execute for 90 days. Simplicity allows a business to scale. Growth happens when you eliminate endless